Hi guys, it's Aegis here. So today I'm going to do a premium deck profile, and I will be doing a MegaColony deck profile. So this deck I've been play testing for a while, especially last week when I get a chance to play premium with my friends, because not many of my friends or even other people are playing premium. So when there's a chance, I always try to build something up and have some fun with it. So this deck will be different to my previous build that involving the G era Gredora, and I'm trying to use as much new cards as possible and find my own way from there. So let's go for it. So starter doesn't matter anything, but since I think soul is more important and I prefer to get a draw, so I'm still using the V era starter. You can get a, if you call it SP, then you can use SP. If not, then you can just pick anyone, doesn't matter. And then next I'm running 4 of the new V era Gredora. So I have to say, most of the time I won't be using the first skill, which is kind of last one, and put 2 cradle markers, because most of the time I will be striding. But the second skill is very helpful. Second skill is to, when she attacks as a Vanguard, I can retire one of my Vanguard and search up to 1 Grade 3 from my deck, call it, and both Gredora and the Grade 3 that you call get 10k each. So in the past, when we are using G era Gredora, most of the time we are taking a longer time to play the game and slowly burn them down, which Gredora always helps you to counter charge, do some core blocking, so you can like reduce your opponent's attacking chances and keep surviving. But now, using the new Gredora, even if you can't stride, you still get an option and you get a protect marker. Also, if you're going first before you stride, you already get a chance to do multiple attacks with power pump, because Gredora will give herself, and the Great 3 that you call with her skill 10k. And assuming if you're going first, your opponent will likely be on a 9k or 10k Vanguard, they can't use G guard, then you can probably even win just there. It's possible. So there's even a game that I actually did that, so it's possible. So giving you an option to push early when you know your opponent is playing some clans that you can't take the game too long, or you know that they are going to kill you on the first strike, then at least Gredora can help you speed up the game. Force them to drop more cards, maybe just that can even help you survive the next turn. So this is also one reason why I'm using Gredora, not only to try it, but I think she's very useful in premium as well. And then I'm running 2 of the OG darkface in V era. So the darkface can generate cradle markers without CB, without soul blast. You just need to drop a hand, and it's a when appear effect, so you can ride it, you can call it, you can still generate the cradle markers, which is very helpful, because sometimes if you find your opponent is having something going to intercept and ruin your game, you call your darkface, put a marker on it, kill the skill, kill the defensive power, kill the intercepts. That's already very helpful. And he can also gain power when you counter blast 1 and kill one of the unit with cradle markers on when this card attacks the Vanguard. So also every 2 numbers, and also since you can keep generating cradle markers, you don't need to heavily rely on Gredora's skill to generate the cradle markers, because most of the time you don't need to put 5 cradle markers. 1, your opponents won't let you do it. 2, they probably will be using clans that can wipe their own board without retiring their stuff. For example, they can time leap, they can just get into the soul, or even just bounce back to hand, any other thing that is not retired, lock, whatever. So don't expect to gain too much advantage with the cradle markers, but you want to place one there so that it can help you to make your opponents to think a little bit more. And even since you can see I'm using the new stuff, then I'm using sticky borders. Sticky borders can also gain power from there. So very helpful in my opinion. Even if you use Gredora skill grade 3 or grade 4 to call him out, place a Gredora markers on something, that can ruin your opponent's plan. Sometimes they are just lacking their 5k shield, or maybe that's a 10k shield, or maybe that's a Shadow Paladin bird that can just PG a regard attack. You can just stop that. So very nice to have. Then I'm running one of the Cycloman. If you saw my standard version of the MegaColony deck, you will know how great this card is for quite a few reasons. One, on ride is like a brick ride effect that forces your opponents to drop a hand, and you can gain power on depending on what grade that card is discarded. But the most important thing is you can counter +1 and soul +1 when this card attacks the Vanguard to get 10k at least, and ditch your opponent top deck. Sometimes you can deck them out if they keep drawing a lot. Then if it's a grade 1 or higher, during the turn we'll get a crit, so the 10k and crit lasts for the whole turn, which when you use your Hell Demise, you don't only restand your sticky border so you can keep drawing cards, you can also stand your Cyclomantic if you got a crit. Then you can just swing at least 2 times with a 22k 2 crit attack. And depending on your triggers, maybe you can hit 3 damage, then your opponents will need to guard them for sure. So important. And also just now I've showed you my Hell Demise, good restander during battle phase. You can use your grade 3 Gredora to call him out, you can use your grade 4 Gredora to call him out. No matter what, he'll get 10k when you call with both Gredora skills, so he can still be a strong attacker, able to help you pull something up to do one more attack. Sometimes that's just the push that you need to finish your game off. And also, since I told you earlier, we can use Gredora to rush your opponent. Then say if you write Gredora and you have this in your hand, call it, try to gain a crit, then attack with something else, and then when Gredora attacks set that unit, call a Hell Demise, both get 10k and you restand something, so at least 3 of your line's baseline is 22k, so can be massive, asking your opponents for a lot of cards. And then my last grade 3s are 2 Antlion. Since it's premium, so I still think Antlion have his space here, but I did cut some of the grade 3 so that I can fit the OG darkface, because as I said, I think he's very useful in premium as well. But he is still your finisher. It's not a must, but even if you just have one copy, blocking PG when you do your Solar combo with Antlion is still very strong. You might not be able to kill them, but you can make them lose all their guards, and that's really important. Also, again, Solar combo is still very strong. Once you pull it off with Venom Black, you basically just block everything. So it's still a good winning condition that you can use when you stalemate. So Antlion, I think it's still good to be here, but if you would like another Hell Demise, you can basically cut 1 there. But I have 2, also because just in case I need this card for ultimate strike. So at least I have like 2 copies, 2 copies, 2 copies, 2 copies. And this one I just use it as an attacker. So I don't need more than 1 for now. Yeah, so that's my grade 3s, and let's enter grade 2s. First, Dangerous Horn, 10k body, at least can fight against force markers clans. When they're on grade 2, you don't need to do extra to get to able to hit them for baseline. So very strong. Also, Dangerous Horn can also make you to do damage denial, because he needs to have a Gredora or Darkface Vanguard, these two, or you show a Darkface from your hand to your opponent to remain the 10k, else he will get 5k minus. So if your opponent is going to do a lot of combos, as long as they have counter blast, you can just ride a Dangerous Horn and show nothing in minus 5k, call a unit at the back row, then attack. If you got a trigger, just put everything to your back, so then you can do damage denial. So this is very common play in MegaColony if you really need to do that, but based on experience, right now I usually just keep the 10k and just swing hard, so I can win on my grade 3 turn or even when I strike. So still very nice unit to have, and also not to forget about Dangerous Horn can still get 6k, give me 16k body, which can have your 2 numbers and do some good damage. And then I'm running one of the 12k vanilla. It's for defensive usage, because there are clans that always like to do multiple attacks even when they are on grade 2s. And if you are on a 9k body, then when you take hit, even if you get a trigger, sometimes you might get 5k, you might get 10k, but you are still in a very dangerous line. They can still hit you. But if you're on 10k, if you're on 12k, especially 12k, when you hit a trigger, you're on 22. Then even if they are a 10k Vanguard, they swing, they get a trigger, they still can't hit you. So defensive play, but he don't have any shield value, so mainly for riding purpose to defense, or you can just use him as a Riga to just keep swinging, because 12k can still help you adjust your power to hit some key numbers. So 1 is enough, you don't need more than 1, because he doesn't have any shield value. Then I'm running 4 the Sticky Bolas, not to say too much about her, help you to draw when success, basically trying to gain power plus when attack after Soul Blast and gain power from cradle markers. It also allows you to search for your OG darkface and Gredora. Best situation is counter blast when you look at top 6 and you get 1 of each. That's the best. But you just see it as a mantis that you can search for darkface only, and also that's another reason why I'm using Sticky Bolas only, is because I don't want to actually pick up any Hell Demise, and I can just tell my opponents, there's a grade 3 in there, but it's not darkface, something like that. So it's also something that you can play with your opponent, but of course be polite, don't just try to be rude or something. But yeah, able to draw, hit big numbers, searching your key rights, that's all we need. And let's enter in grade 1s. First, 3 Hornets, Great Researcher, Early Rush, good card. You get, if you got 2 copies, you can just ride 1 and call 1 and just keep trying to swing. Your opponents usually will let 1 of them off, so you can try search for any grade 3s. And if it's on Vanguard, you don't need to put that into Soul, but if it's a Vanguard, you do. But this deck do use quite a lot of souls here. This uses Soul. your grade 4 Gredora uses Soul, Sticky Borders using Soul, so more options to feed up your Soul is very important here. And also another card that going to use your Soul will be this little big guy here, Spiteful Hopper, Counter Charger, Power Tuning, because the 6k is guaranteed as long as you Soul Loss when he appears as a rearguard. But sometimes if you do use a lot of counter loss or your opponents try to damage deny you while you still have damage, then you can at least open up one counter loss to do your stuff. So your opponents probably won't expect this to come. They usually expect you to use G-Guard or something, but that's another option. And then I'm using 3 of the clear freeze. Do some hand swap if I'm not having a good hand, or if I have my healthy mass in hand, I can just drop it and draw myself another card and give my opponent 1 critical markers early game, just in case if they have some early combos to do. For example, if they use Killer Tail, then you can at least seal that. If they are using the mains, you can seal that, or any other thing that you think is a threat. You as long as you're willing to drop a grade 3 for her skill, you can put a greater marker for free, which also helps Sticky Borders to gain power. Then I'm using 2 of the Vanguard Blacks. Of course, good combo, good partner with Lion for a solo combo. Block normal units, block PGs, they just need to use triggers to guard. If they use all the triggers, they probably won't be able to survive the next few attacks. Or you might just even swing with these and win from there. And then I am using 2 of the Black Beevil. So I think a lot of people haven't seen this card for quite a while. And with the new critical markers mechanics, I think it's time to bring back this card. So 1, it is a grade 1 PG, so as long as you put a critical markers on a grade 1 and that unit is being retired, you can search for yourself a PG. Also, you got an active skill in drop zone. If you have 2 of them, you bind 2 of your Blackfield face up, draw 1, then you can counter charge or soul charge. So helps you solve the problem. If you don't have the soul charge 1. If you don't have a counter loss 1. And it's kind of a searchable PG, so it's not too hard to obtain this card in your hand. Even if you have 1 in damage, have 1 in hand, as long as you can heal 1, then you can just PG and then the next turn use that skill to at least draw yourself a card. So to me, always finding a way to soul charge and counter charge. And when I play my standard MegaColony, you can also see that build I'm using grade 1 PGs, and I suddenly think, I can actually make this card useful. And he got a skill, so that's like what we asked for, right? And lastly, I am still running this Brilliant Blisters, blocking some restanders, because my friends always like to play Nova Grapplers. They use Busted and they just get so many dry check and going to stand, like 6 dry check and stand it, so attack me 2 times. So I'm a little bit tired of that, but of course it's fun to play with, of course. But if you have a way to stop it, why don't you pick one? And you don't need more than 1 copy. Again, it's a great one. You have critical markers, you can search it, so easy piece to just put it in your deck. Even if your opponent is not going to do any restand with the Vanguard, you can still like drop it for clear freeze for an extra draw. You can discard for this. You can discard for a dark face. So it's not a dead card. So any situation you can find himself useful for whatever reason. Then entering triggers. First, I'm running 4 of the Battle F so that I can soul charge and draw. Again, soul charging is important here because I always use up my soul. So always find a way to soul charge is important. Then I'm running 4 of the little honey so that I can have more strike orders, because you can see most of my time the Grey Freeze are important to place on the field, right, or just keep it in hand so that I can make themselves useful. And I'd rather not use them for strike cost. Of course, if I need to, then I will. But having this in my deck, I have more strike order options, then it's a lot easier to stride. I don't always need to drop my Grey Freeze, and I get to choose. I can use it as a guardian, then use my Grey Freeze to stride, or I can take the damage and then use this to strike. So important. Then I have 2 more crits since I am already running a playset of each, so I just need to use some normal crits. Then I'm running 2 draw PGs since I'm using 2 of the Grade 1 PGs already, and then I'm running 2 of the V heals and 2 of the G era heals. The reason I'm still using this is because I still want to have some chances to soul charge and counter charge. So you can see my deck, it uses a lot of counter blasts and uses a lot of souls, but then at the same time I'm finding a lot of ways to just keep recycling it. So yeah, so you can see it's not that easy to run all resources unless you really recklessly use them off and just don't care about anything. But most of the time we can just keep getting what we need, resources, then we use the resources to gain a small advantage, and then those advantage we gain will probably be returned to our resources again, and then we can use them again. Yeah. And now let's quickly enter the G zone. First, of course, for grade 4 Gredoras, stun all of your opponent's units, make them can't call anything, including Guardian, except from hand. So blocking G guards, blocking a lot of multiple attackers that calling units not from hand, like Grand Blue, they call from draw, Palmon, they call from soul, Angels, they call from damage, many things. You can just block them. Also, of course, the second skill to call Grade 3 to give the 10k when it attacks. Continue with your healthy mass combo, just try to rush and win, or you can take it slowly to just keep sealing opponent's movements. And since I'm running 10 crits, so you still have quite a high chance to pull crits sometimes. So your opponents will take more damage, they need to guard, and they keep using their resources. Once their resources run out, you'll win. And then of course I saw again, very strong combo, winning condition. Unless you can't afford one, if you do have one, then just put one in. If you don't find Soa going to have any chance to appear on the stage at all, you can just flip it with your Gredora anyway, so doesn't matter at all. And then I am running 2 of the Planner, part of some desperate mind, I would say, that I try to make her shine, even though most of the time I would just flip her with Gredora. But you always want to get prepared if you see your opponent is going to do a lot of G flips. and if they are almost using all the resources, then you can force them to flip the strides or flip the G guards. Then they have less defense power, or they can have less G units to stride on to give you pressure. So it's a backup plan, and we do have a lot of space. So if you're really afraid using too much of her, you can cut one off for something else. But to me, 2 is okay. And she needs to flip something anyway, so I can just kind of doing a personal flip, but which is not. And then of course, we are still running Optyrannus, because yes, Gredora blocks all of the calling outside of hand, but there are also clans that can do multiple attacks and keep calling units out from hand. For example, again, Nova Grapplers, they got a Azure Dragon that you can counterblast one drawing card and call that card from hand. Of course, it's not that card you draw, but just call anything from hand to attack you. So if you use Optyrannus, they can just draw and they can't call units because they can't call regards. So you do have options depending on how your opponents play. Then you pick the right option to block the call. So I think it's still very, very important here, and you don't need to afraid too much. Again, even if I run 2, it's because sometimes I really do need to use that 2 times, maybe. But if I don't, I can just flip it. I have so many cards that I need to flip, so can use, can flip, no worries at all. And I'm still running one of the Overwhelm. So she is not as strong as before because we have so many options right now, and you don't actually going to gain too much advantage from her. But of course, if you are lacking cards, then you can still draw with her. Most of the time in the past, we use Overwhelm because we don't have a very, very effective first strike, but now we have Gredora already, so most of the time we just go for Gredora, and maybe sometimes use these, and then if time right, we use Soa. So Overwhelm is more like a backup plan, but 1 is still going to help you sometimes, but don't force yourself using too much. And of course, GB8, if you purely just need high powers, GB8 is just the best option for you, because all of your unit will get 5k each per rested unit on your opponent's field, Vanguard and Rearguard included. So if they got like all 6 units rested, then your front row and back row already getting 30 each, then they already 60k without counting the original power and whatever they gain from the skill or triggers. So strong. And also, if you're facing like an XL clan, the more XL circle they have, the more 5k you gain. So he is just a kind of a finisher. If you can just push through with high power, then just go for it. Okay, and next, let's enter our G guards. 2 Morphosian is still the easiest G guard that you can use. So without any cost and easy to gain 10k, so she's just there. And if you need to do some resting of your opponent's back row, then you can still use your Gryfort. So yeah, and can also gain some shield value, but most of the time I will just flip it. But again, I always like different options, so it's still there. And I have 2 of the British lady. Is just the best G guard we have. not counting about the defensive part, but because you know your opponent is like 99% not going to rest 2 units, so you can destroy a semi card, counter charge, soul charge, do everything you need so that you can have more resources to survive next turn or do a push next turn. And with the ult heal, at the same time you can also activate the skill to do some counter charging and soul charging, so you are really hard to run out of resources with this deck. Yeah, so I think I've explained quite long, so yeah, it's a premium deck, so I do have a lot to say, but I think I've explained enough. But if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Most of the combo you should know, and I've explained in what you can do in with this deck here. So yeah, do try to build it out, enjoy it, and let me know if you have any comments, any questions, and I will answer them as long as I see them. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.